So now we move on to the next major part of world history, which everyone knows as the West conquers everything, basically, and then fights among themselves because people want equality. So we're going to answer some very important questions. Why is America named America? It's because of this guy, but he's not important. Who is this? It's Christopher Columbus, who was not the first person to discover the Americas. And what is this? This is a piece of silver. Who had silver? I don't actually remember, to tell you the truth. I think they had a lot of it. Oh, right. China had a ton of silver, and the West was deep in debt because they bought all the Asian products. They needed money really bad, and they wondered, where can we get that money? India! Now, how do we get there? Well, let's go around Africa. No, let's go around the world instead. That would be so much faster. Yeah, that worked well. Actually, it did. Columbus ran into the Americas. He was not the first to discover America. Other explorers definitely ended up there first. Anyway, pretty soon, Spain and Portugal were racing back and forth across the ocean to capture land and claim it. Using guns, germs, and steel, the Europeans killed or enslaved most of the natives. They were then able to send many of the natural resources back to Europe, which helped to even out their monetary situation. The imperialist policies of the European areas meant the rise of mercantilism. I'm not going to talk about that much because there are many more educational sources that you can watch about that.
Mercantilism, economic system, mercantilism, yeah, swag.
Yeah. Anyway, Europe didn't stop with America or the coast of Africa. Soon they had power all over. Meanwhile, the Renaissance was happening. It started out in Italy and spread to most all of Europe. It contributed a lot of things to the world, such as this, and this, and this, and even this. Not even kidding, we would have no music on the radio without the Renaissance. It was the first time that people really started to use music outside of worship. This isn't only about Europe, though. Russia during this period was just recovering from Mongol rule. It began to expand under the strong leadership of Ivan IV, Peter the Great, and Catherine the Great. Many of these rulers tried to introduce Western ideas to the Russian Empire, but all they really managed to do was isolate the upper class further from the peasantry. Pretty soon, the peasant class was so far below everyone else that they were ready to revolt. Asia was already involved in the world economy, though China didn't have much interest in expansion. Instead, they acted like world police, stopping one group from becoming too powerful. Africa was introduced to imperialism in the worst way possible: slavery. Africa became extremely dependent on the European economic structure through the African slave trade. The Muslim empires, such as the Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal, were large ruling bodies, which were successful, yet each declined without much impact on the larger world. Now, nearly all the world was in the world economy. But now it's 1815, and what's going on in France?
It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again.
Ah yes, the age of imperialism and revolutions. After the Renaissance, many people started to wonder about the rights that they had under absolute monarchies and isolated rulers. Industrialization helped production, but it hurt everyone else, because it threw people out of jobs and made work very cheap. People could be paid less just because they were desperate to get a job at all. Tensions were getting stronger all across the globe, and they finally culminated in the first of the major revolutions, the American Revolution, lasting only about 10 years. The next major revolution occurred in France in 1789. However, this was only the first of several revolutions. France came really far. They started with a king and ended with an emperor and a pile of heads. Other nations were springing up faster than could be counted, and each one had its own political forms, its own social tensions. Thus, the industrial period was really underway. New advances in science, especially in medicine, improved the world greatly. They also lessened the amount of deaths. A lot. And now, not only have we made up for the pile of heads, the population is growing way higher than it was before. This would be a problem later, but not right now, so I'm going to stop there. Stop, rewind. As I said, that would be a problem later, but not right now. See you all later. Oh, for heaven's sake!